Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Mark Ferrandino. I represent Central Denver, and have had the honor of representing them for the last 2 years. I'm a budget geek by trade. I like numbers. So when you look at TABOR, and I've dealt with it for a while, it caused huge problems and continues to cause huge problems in Colorado. If you think about, let's just talk quickly about what is the formula, and then what it's done to Colorado. And that's the first time actually I've seen that video, and it's kind of depressing to know you're from the state that has gone from, somewhere in the middle of the pack to one of the lowest in the, on some of the most major and basic issues in the country. So, the main reason for TABOR is to shrink government. It's not to keep taxes low. It's not to create jobs. It's to shrink government. Because if you grow by inflation plus population, you have stagnation. You're just growing with what's going on in the economy, going on in population, and keeping up with not even the economy. Because economy, there's productivity growth, which is usually 1 to 3%. So every year you're shrinking each year away from what the economy is. And eventually you can't do basic services for government. And what we have in Colorado, we're facing budget deficits just like everyone else in the country. But our deficits are worse because of TABOR. We started to do refunds in 2000, 2001. The legislature decided that it was a good idea to reduce the tax rates. To not do the refunds, just do it through a tax rate reduction. Well, because of TABOR, we could never increase that revenue without going to a vote of the people. So we have about $1 billion structural deficit from just that, lowering of the tax rate. We are now facing a place where in 5 years, we will only be able to fund 3 programs: K through 12 education, Medicaid, and corrections. We will not be able to fund any other services throughout our state unless we deal with TABOR and some of the other constitutional restrictions that have come as a result of TABOR. We are in a long conversation about how we fix this. And Senator Fitzgerald, and she'll talk a lot about Ref C, about what happened with Ref C, gave us a 5-year timeout, but it hasn't solved the problem. We have been in constant campaign mode since TABOR was passed in '92. If you wanted to do services for people with developmental disability, we just did that. We have a huge waiting list, and we tried to eliminate it through a tax increase. That didn't pass because the people who were proponents of it didn't have the funding to go out and get the campaign they needed to do that kind of work. So we continue year after year to increase our waiting list of people with developmental disability, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. We've seen basic services that you would think are a shared value in Colorado, especially when it comes, and they talked about water rights. Water is very important in Colorado, and it's gone from a place where we actually fund it to a place where it's all fee paid for. And that's what TABOR has done in Colorado, is move government from a general revenue source where we all share the burden to a fee burden that the person who's individually using it is paying for it. Well, that might sound like it's a good idea, but those fees have to be so high sometimes that it's just economically bad for the state of Colorado, and you're hurting, the small farms who are trying to make it in Colorado. So it's really caused a lot of problems. In terms of one of the things they always say about TABOR, well, it's going to bring economic development, it's going to help jobs. I think I saw the flyer, it said lower taxes, more jobs. Colorado, since TABOR's passed, has had one of the lowest job growth rates in the mountain region of any state. We have not had more jobs. Tom Clark, who you saw in that video, was just in front of an interim committee I'm vice chair of, who said he had people say to him when they were looking to put businesses in states that they would not come to Colorado because Colorado wasn't willing to invest in its infrastructure, in its education system, and they didn't believe they'd have the workforce to be able to compete with other states. It wasn't until Referendum C passed that people started to see Colorado as at least willing to invest in itself. And when we talk about investments, you saw that dome that's on the Capitol. We're very proud of our Capitol. It's a beautiful dome. it's falling apart. There's pieces falling out of it. And I joked with someone the other day, unfortunately, that it might take the dome collapsing through the center of the grand staircase to get people to realize how bad TABOR has caused problems in Colorado. We are facing huge problems, and we're starting to try and fix it. Referendum C was the first start, and we're going to continue to do that. And I would just encourage you not to get in the same place that we got to. It's going to take us many years to get out of where we are because of TABOR. And you have the opportunity to nip it in the butt now. You've defeated it once, and hopefully you can defeat it with your work again. And if you don't defeat it, I mean, I know there's everyone's competing interests, lots of things you're trying to do. Just remember, if you don't defeat it now, you're going to be on the ballot trying to get things you care about every year, because that's the only way you're going to be able to fund government, is going to the vote of the people to make sure if you want a fee increased here, if you want more revenue here. It's the only way you're going to be able to keep government just at a basic service level, not even expanding government, just keeping it where it is now. You're going to have to go continually to the ballot trying to vote, to get voters to approve it. It's going to be very costly, very timely. So it's incumbent that you defeat TABOR now and not let it get on the ballot, because if you don't do that, you're going to be continually campaigning. And if you think it's bad enough 2 years in a row, think about 10, 20 years from now, where all you've been doing is every 2 years going to the ballot, fighting some initiative, fighting for something you care about, fighting against something you think you shouldn't be doing. We have representative democracy. We should make sure we use that representative democracy, and TABOR really undermines that and makes sure that we can't actually have real conversations about what the role of state government is in society. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Senator Fitzgerald.